Hi there, and welcome to Oddly Coded, where every game-breaking bug is lore accurate. My name is STEEJ, and I'm joined here by my three friends, Lyle, Dan, and Matt. And today, we're going to be talking about a subject that I thought was pretty interesting. We've all played amazing games. We've all played awesome games in our lives. Some indie games, some large AAA titles. But every so often, we come across a game that, even though we enjoyed it, we didn't end up finishing it. For some reason, it just kind of sits there on our shelf among all of our other physical copies, or it lies dormant in our Steam library, never to be touched again, even though we really enjoyed the journey of that while we were playing it. And today I wanted to explore some of those games. I wanted to talk about something, maybe a game that, start off talking about a game that it fits that category for me, and then go to each of my friends here and talk about some interesting games that maybe they found that they have never finished for some reason or another. So actually, you know what, we won't start with me because I've been talking a whole bunch already. Lyle, what's a game that you have never finished even though you enjoyed it?
So I can offhand think of two big examples.
Okay.
I mean, it's actually kind of commonly known that I'm just not the biggest Elder Scrolls person.
Okay.
It's not that I think the games are bad. We've already been over that, the Bethesda bugs and all that good stuff. But
yeah.
And I mean, you personally have watched me play Skyrim on stream, but Skyrim is a game that I had fun playing it. The limited hours that I put into it. But it just that setting for that type of Bethesda RPG just doesn't really do it for me. Like I see the memes, I see the stuff that people do with the modding community. Like the game itself is super awesome, and the bugs are funny as hell. But I've only put so many hours into it, and I was just like, this isn't gripping me. So I have it on the Switch, but that was because they had the Zelda DLC that it had like you had the Master
right, I forgot about
Sword,
that.
the Hylian Shield.
Yeah.
And, like Link's Breath of the Wild costume.
Yeah.
And then I had it on PC because the mods are extensive, and I couldn't the fantasy babble, and like I get it, the stories are good, but it just couldn't do it for me. The most I've gotten through Skyrim is sitting through a YouTube playthrough with mods out the ass, and it was even then I was sitting on my phone most of the time, but. I digress there. Like I want to love the Elder Scrolls series, but it's more of those like just not for me, and I'll watch someone else enjoy it and I'll get the enjoyment out of doing that. The other one is Octopath Traveler is a game that
that's a good one.
The very first one I put so many freaking hours into it, and I'm up to the final boss. And aside from the fact that the final boss is just extensively hard, I put it down and just never came back to it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And like Square Enix's art design, the character development, the character design, the music, the OST, those four things are two of the same things just re-described, now realizing, are all phenomenal and all amazing. And the Octopath Traveler OST is on my Spotify. Like I constantly listen to it, but I just never went back to it. And then Octopath Traveler 2 came out, got it, and I keep meaning to get back into it. I've put a lot of time into it so far, not as much as one, but I just haven't found whether it's the time or the drive to just pick it back up and keep going with it.
Right.
There's a second one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it came out, earlier this year?
I think it was earlier this year. And it's phenomenal. It's just as, if not better than the first. Different enough to keep you...
16 paths now?
16 paths?
Yeah, it's like the jump from the 8-bit to the 16-bit era.
Octopath
64 Path Traveler?
Even more arms.
Octodad Path Traveler 2. But no, the games are fantastic, and I love it, and I want to get back I want to get back into it and finish it. Because unlike Skyrim, the direction that Octopath went with, very for me, very gripping, very enticing, and I love everything about it.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go back to it.
If the talk in Skyrim bugged you, don't go and play Oblivion. Honestly,
I think you meant Elder Scrolls in general.
Onward.
Yeah, well, I mean that's exactly the
same.
thing. Just that the high fantasy type setting, it's
Yeah,
cool.
I get
It's great. It's just it's not.
It's also been done to fucking death.
That, and
If we're
when it comes
honest.
to those extensive RPGs, the amount of like the time investment, I just don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
why
Watch
Todd Howard
watch
went to space now.
yeah.
I'm more a Fallout guy versus Elder Scrolls
get
when it
that.
comes to those.
Right.
So
Totally can understand.
Yeah.
Watch the beginning cutscene, and it's a cutscene of the first one, Arena. That shit's rough.
Yeah.
That shit is rough, man.
I watched a
Talk-
speed run of it one time, and I was like, "Oh my
It's
god,
just
what
like
is
a
this
lady on a
game?"
green screen, just
Yeah.
just in the sky of like a cartoony ass sky, and she's just like, "You must kill the wizard or whatever the fuck."
Or
what was
Okay.
it like? Was this like full motion video, like one of those FMV type?
Yeah,
cutscenes
yeah,
from
yeah.
Back in the day?
I mean, kind of. They were just kind of pasted into the Elder
Yeah.
Scrolls world or whatever, and now you're kind of in this like cartoony ass Rescue Rangers looking world.
And it was very
And-
text based.
Absolutely.
like a choose your own adventure type
Kind
You
of.
couldn't-
Yeah.
you could-
setup at least.
You could do
Kind of.
WASD, but then
Yeah.
if you wanted to swing, it's not like mouse button or whatever. I think it was like another one of the keys. I think it was like E or something.
Oh, okay.
Because I played it a little bit. I've played
Obviously
it a little
early
bit.
enough
It's
to not
rough.
have like key bindings and
Yeah.
Yeah, no. At least not to your mouse.
back in
Yeah.
the day.
Back in
That
the
was
day.
primarily for clicking, and that's it.
So, and obviously we will end up going over maybe like some prevailing themes of like the games that we don't finish. But I do want to get to go around to everyone and get a basis by like asking what your guys' what your games are that you want to talk about. So Dan, what are some games, a game or two, that you have not finished that you otherwise enjoyed?
Sorry, I had to. While you were talking, I tried to stop a burp from happening to not be rude, and then just a little bit of burn that was there, and I'm just like, what's
Dan's
the
just
games?
dying.
It's coming up.
What are we talking about?
Video games, Dan.
Let's see. I've written a few of them down. And a lot of them I was really interested in whenever I saw the trailers or like whenever they first came out. Especially considering the fact that most of my exposure to games was through my buddies on PlayStation, like PS4, PS3s, that sort of stuff. So like anything that I knew about like the shit that was coming out other than looking it up at the time, I got through those guys. And so the Battlefield game campaigns, whenever it comes to Shooter 1 versus Shooter 2, Shooter 2 being Battlefield and the first one being everything else, I really liked Battlefield a little bit more.
Okay.
Because Call of Duty, for example, its roots started out like actually like portraying like real events in history.
Yeah.
And then, as we all know, we
World
went
War
to
II.
space, and you can hear bullets in space in this game. So that's pretty chill for that. But Battlefield,
them.
they went like the futuristic route almost immediately.
I'm unfamiliar with the Battlefield games,
They-
but so
Was
they
it
went
Battlefield 2 or 3 that kind of started that route?
all
It
like
was-
wow
it
that
was
quickly.
two. It was two. Battlefield 1, I'm pretty sure. Like it was like modern fighting, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But that everything changed there after Battlefield Hardline, which is just like about like the police, cops and robbers type game.
Not to be confused with Battlefield 1, the recent Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's funny enough. I was actually about to get to that. Shit changed.
Yeah.
Like it completely changed the game for how they were going to go forward with like the stories of these games when Battlefield 1 dropped, because it was just on World War 1.
Okay.
Like they went back to history, and it's a beautiful retelling of like some of the stories, and they're all true.
Okay.
They're all true. All of the people that you play as are real people. All that shit. It's
Okay.
dope.
Very much historical fiction kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
Like
and
rooted very much in real events.
Yeah, that game looked
Yeah,
absolutely awesome when it was coming out. That was with the Zeppelins too and
Yep.
multiplayer.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
was
And then immediately after that, they were just like, you know what? Let's just do what we did last time, but cooler, and you can fucking shoot people while you're skiing. And so they made Battlefield 5, which
Yeah.
did the exact same thing, but in World War II.
Oh, okay.
I had not finished Battlefield 5, but I think I was on like the last mission of 1. Those 2 are probably my favorites out of all of them. I think my favorite campaign would have been 5 though, but I don't know that I finished it.
When did Battlefield, what was it, 2042 or something?
The newer one?
You talking about the newest one?
Yeah,
that was
when
like
did that...
a year. I think that was like last year. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
You probably haven't
and that
heard
was a
about
futuristic
it because it
one,
fucking
obviously.
sucked.
Yeah, I heard it was not good.
Yeah, no, it was
like
not
I said,
good.
I'm very outside of the like Battlefield space.
Yeah,
They put a cool trick shot guy in the trailer. That was cool.
Yeah.
A very ambitious Warzone type Battlefield version where the execution was just not there. A lot of the features that were advertised were not ready on day one. And
oh wow, what a shock!
It also just felt like they were just like, all right, we got a good thing going. How are we gonna achieve like going on from this? Fuck going to Vietnam, Korea, any of the other wars that are currently going on. Let's go back to 30 years, 50 years in the future. People can fucking run on walls, and everybody was just like, what the hell?
Yeah, like we liked this. And like, you know, building on something is one thing, but to completely do a like complete 180 from what you were doing before is definitely a risk.
Especially considering the fact that they were the ones that set the fucking bar to begin with.
Yeah.
They were just like, all right, here's the bar. You know what? We've done this long enough. Snap. Let's just wait till World War III, and if we're not all dead by then, we'll make a game about it.
It's also EA's history of not being very consumer receptive.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah, how about that? The other battle game.
Anyways.
What was the other game, Dan?
Honestly, I'm gonna go for any of the Assassin's Creed games except for 4.
4 is Black Flag, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I know you've talked highly of that game before, but you haven't finished any of the other ones?
No.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Huh.
Not even close. I got to where you got your assassination gear, and I was just like, oh, this is cool as shit. This doesn't feel as good as 4 does. All right, I'm out of here.
Oh, so you literally you got to like chapter 2 of each game and was just like,
pretty much. I gave it its best shot. They had like some good features in like 1 through 3. They really did.
So you didn't even like really give it a good shot then.
I had other games to play, man.
I
had other shit to do.
In all fairness, you don't have to. Obviously, you don't have to continue something if it's not vibing.
I chose to go back to 2012 and suffer for it. Yeah. Like I chose to be running around trying to climb onto something as Altair from the first one, and he's just like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was gonna climb off of that. I'm now in the middle of every guard in the fucking town."
Yeah,
assassin, so I'm just gonna walk to the left, and then he just disappears with the crowd.
I do hear a lot that Assassin's Creed 4 is essentially Pirate Simulator with Assassin's Creed like thematics.
It is. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
And people fucking love it.
Yeah,
it looked really good. I never did it. I had a good series, a good chunk of Assassin's Creed games in a row. Like the first one and the second one. That's a long streak for me, where I actually finished both games.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah, where I actually got to the end. I was interested in the story, and then I don't know what fell off for me, but like Ezio was awesome, and I was I was into the story. I think the story just started to go off the rails, where it just kind of felt like the writers were just
how it tied into like the modern day and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I wanted that to work. But leaving that thing in your imagination almost was better.
But I also never wanted to play that. It was just like, I don't want to do all this modern day shit. I just want to be Ezio. I just want to walk. I just want to run around and assassinate dudes. I don't care about any of this.
I get that.
Well, I wanted assassins in modern day.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
What was his name? Like Desmond?
Yes, Desmond Miles.
Yeah, I wanted him to they started to do that, but it didn't. I guess they couldn't just let somebody loose in modern day, in just a modern city, and just go to have fun. There are actual consequences because this isn't your memory or your DNA memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Anymore. I'll tell you this though, 4, and this came out in 2013. So
Yeah.
this was a year after 3, which I don't know if y'all know this. Spoiler warning if you haven't played up to the 2012 critically acclaimed title Assassin's Creed 3.
That was the Revolutionary War one, I believe.
The Desmond arc ends there, and something entirely new picks up on Assassin's Creed 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely didn't.
The
play
real life
Assassin's
stuff
Creed
is kind of it's intriguing.
It gets
it's
better.
Intriguing. It's
Okay.
interesting.
All right.
Because it's not necessarily like okay, he's gone. Desmond is gone. That's the end of his story. Clap, clap. There's the credits. They pick up where he left off, and you don't necessarily,
Is it his
you
kid?
don't, it's not necessarily like told to you what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
You just kind of find shit throughout the course of the game, and then you find like footage, like security camera footage of like the area that they were in,
Yeah.
like whenever it ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Lore logs, kind of.
And this is like in like the archives where you can find like your notes in a bottle and your anything else that you've collected, like your art that you keep on your ship or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of hidden away in there, and it's just straight up just security cam footage of shit going sideways at the end of 3. And it also, interestingly enough, I can go on and on about the Ubisoft universes, but it then ties in the city that Assassin's Creed 4's modern day takes place in with Watch Dogs, which is another one of the game series that Ubisoft does.
That was another game I wanted to be better. I
Yeah.
heard the sequel was better.
It's alright.
What's that?
As a guy who's played
Well, then
both,
there
it's
you go,
alright.
Matt.
Watch
was
Dogs. That's
better.
that one Gen 5 Pokemon, right, Matt?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, Watchdog.
I'm sorry, that was a callback to the last
The one
episode.
that looks like
I
it just smoked like 8 blunts.
Yeah.
That was
And
definitely
there's,
the
like,
first time I read that name. So.
I know it was.
We love that.
I know it was. All right. In the interest of hearing from everybody, Matt, what are some of the games that you've brought to the table that you have not finished but otherwise enjoyed?
Well, I was going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. I think I still am, but I did want to just say I love that, Dan, you blew my mind by reminding me about Assassin's Creed, and I think I
finished
forgot
Red
that I
Dead 2?
played those games. I don't know. But dang, those were good. That's like some real nostalgia that
Yeah.
like, this is the face of nostalgia right here.
The
like-
end of 4 made me fucking cry, dude.
See, now I kind of want to
That
go
shit
back
was
and play it. There was a lot
beautiful.
of like weird like quality of life bullshit that ended up happening with that, where it was like, I mean, they had that problem across a lot of games where it was just like you'd look at the map and you'd be like, okay, I just need to go here. Okay, I just need to go here, and then it's just like you have an entire city. There's just like it's like overwhelming the amount of stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
But that's not why I stopped playing it. That was just because of the story, like I was talking about earlier. But speaking of another reason I stopped playing a game, Red Dead Redemption 2, I was so hyped for that game when it came out, and it ended up really delivering in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I played it on the Xbox, and I was actually playing it at the same time as one of my friends, and we were like kind of like talking about like it just came out, and
the
like
best way
I
to
would
do
play
it,
for a
man.
while, and then I talked to him and he'd be like, yeah, we got to like the same place. But then it started to get to a dangerous point where like he was having more time to play the game than I did, but we were still talking, and I was like, I still like talking to my friend. And then like he let slip a little bit too much about what was going on in the story, and I immediately lost all interest.
Oh,
And
man.
It makes me very sad. I did want to revisit it, and that's something I do like to do with games like that. I do it with movies. Like after like a long time of like not watching a movie, I go back, I revisit it. I've got a completely new mindset. I'm seeing this through a completely different lens.
Yeah.
And that's something I really like to do. And I do the same thing with games. And I actually tried to do it on PC because I have it. I have Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC, but I can't get it to work right. I
Yeah.
don't know what's wrong. I don't know if I need a better graphics card or if like the port over from
It is.
console to PC is just.
Rockstar's PC update, like the port for it, especially for online.
I'm not even trying to do online.
Yeah, don't bother with online because
Yeah.
A, it sucks, and B, the port sucks. But
Yeah, I
bygones.
the problem that I was having is just like it's like frame stuttering sort of.
Yeah.
And just like Googling that is an issue for Red Dead Redemption. Like there are forums that are just like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
We
know.
We're working on.
I'm like,
that,
is there
and
a
also
mod?
GTA
Like
6 maybe.
Callback to Sonic Adventure DX. Our game sucks. Sorry.
Sorry.
It happens sometimes.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
You'll get used to
Sorry,
it.
we know you
It
want to play
happens
our game.
sometimes.
You'll get used to it.
I'm not used to it.
Matt missed our arm waving. It happens sometimes.
Learn to accept disappointment, man.
That's the new sign for like, sorry, your game sucks.
Our company doesn't actually care about your satisfaction. Uh-oh, is this getting too meta?
Have you not finished the story for Red Dead 2?
No, I actually
That's
had
what he's saying.
you-
He hasn't.
Yeah, I actually had you tell me what it was because I was just like, because we were talking about, because I know you like it, and I was like, I'm probably not going to do it, and I've seen enough like of like the general idea of what goes on that I just had you tell me the details. There were a couple of things I didn't know, but it was like I definitely knew enough of the story points to put it all together. So
there's some story beats like in the back half of that game's story, that I know how you're feeling, because by chapter 4's start I was feeling the same way. Where it's just like, okay, I can kind of put together what happens. You have no fucking idea what's about to happen.
Yeah, that's also why I wanted to replay it. I wanted to go back and just try
Please
it
do.
with like my mindset now. It's like I know generally what's going to be happening, but I know there's going to be bits that are going to add to it that I'm going to find some value in and out of actually like playing this game.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that it's just like Cowboy Simulator and childhood dreams fulfilled, man.
Yeah, right?
But yeah.
Wasn't Red Dead 2 like were people making a big deal about the devs and like the detail that they went into with creating the game? Like wasn't
I
would say it's a big deal
balls.
because
you can
see
that's
the
it.
horse
so
balls.
good.
Yeah.
that's what I was alluding to. I was like,
I love that shit.
They
That's
changed
great.
with the
Matt
weather.
loves horse balls.
Matt
and
loves
everyone
horse
heard
I
it.
love horseball physics. It's great.
Horse balls.
what is it?
Sorry,
Like
horse scrotum physics specifically.
Rocky Mountain oysters? Isn't that what that is?
No, that's
bull
buffalo.
testicles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I guess
okay.
bull.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you, Steve? Have you never heard that term before?
No.
A
No.
Rocky Mountain oyster is like a cook.
Yeah.
Like it's a dish from like that. I guess that time period.
Yeah.
Like bull testicles.
Yeah, if somebody ever takes you out camping and like, so now you know if somebody
Well,
like
I've
tries to
heard of,
trick
like-
you and say Rocky Mountain oysters, you're like, oh sure, I'll try some.
That's an
Some
urban
oysters,
dictionary
yes.
term.
Yeah.
That you got from the ocean in the middle of Montana
the Rocky
somehow.
Mountains.
Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
They're just out there. You just gotta
Why are
find them.
you
I mean, I've
approaching
heard
that
of
herd
eating
cattle?
bull testicles in the concept of like matadors and like
Oh,
like
I
in
haven't heard that
Spain and
context.
stuff like that.
I've heard of
Which is-
drinking deer blood, but I might have just
Well,
gotten that from Red Dawn. I don't know if
Okay.
that's a
Yeah.
real thing that people do.
I mean, probably.
I'm sure
They
there's
do a
cult
lot of
out-
weird shit,
I'm sure
Matt.
there's a cult out there somewhere.
All the nostalgia. Red Dawn. I watched that way too much. Maybe that
I
says
didn't watch
something
it at
about me.
all.
Red Dawn Redemption.
Have you not heard of it?
Way to be a Mario.
Not
Just
Red
I've
Dawn
heard of it.
Redemption.
Red Dawn
Yeah,
Redemption.
there was a remake, I think with like The Rock or something, and it was no, nope, big no. No,
Surprise.
you want Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen.
No,
Weird
it's
combo
first.
that absolutely worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it.
So the other game I wanted to talk about, and then a general concept actually after that, but the other
Get
game,
to general concepts after we all go.
yeah, is Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy.
Is that the game where the guy sits in a?
He's in the
In the
pot.
He's in a
and you
cauldron.
have a
in the
hammer.
pot with the hammer. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just climb.
I
Yeah.
kind of started my streaming
I
career on
remember
that game.
you were obsessed with it for a while. You played it a lot.
That explains a whole lot.
I was very convinced that I could control my emotions enough to get through that game and beat it. And this is after I watched Markiplier rage for like 4 or 5 episodes in a row, something like that, throwing his fucking chair like after watching him go through all of that and then like go calm down and then come back and then he's like, I'm so determined to get through this game. And I'm like, I can just have the determination. I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. Sure.
So are there like certain levels of depth with this game? Like
Yes.
Okay, so
I guess I don't fully comprehend the cultural impact.
It has
the
its
game
own stupid iceberg that just goes up in infinity.
So it's climbing the game, but you use a hammer. Forget about what your character looks like. Yeah, he's just naked and in a pot,
Aren't we all?
and he climbs over. Yeah, that's how we all come into the world. It's,
Out of a cauldron.
Is that what they
yeah, it's basically
He's using a hammer.
And like I was very convinced. I did not realize that there are things that are built into that game to make it not just hard because the idea of that is hard, but like the actual mechanics, like the way you swing the hammer and place the hammer, there's a delay.
Yeah.
And
there's heaviness to it.
Yeah, and there's also the handle bends a little bit. So it doesn't really contact with things the way that you would kind of expect it to in a game. And
so there's more physics than meets the eye, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more physics than meets the eye, and it's also just the map design is like it is art.
Yeah.
It's art. You can say whether like opinions whether it's good or bad. That's
I'm not an opinionated person. I get
that.
Sure, I know that. I know that about you. That's the first thing I ever learned about you. And I got not very far. And I thought and I got not very far for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I even went back to it, I think like a month ago or something. And just everything about opening that game just makes me very upset now.
It makes your anxiety just spike
it just makes
wave of dread.
Yeah. Like
this is Matt's Dark Souls?
I can no, I can deal with it for a little while and I'll make like a little bit of progress. I get to like one point, it's like where there's like an orange, like I don't know if this is gonna turn into like a video where like I'll have like an edit, but like it's where the orange is, and like I always love just kind of like just taking the hammer and just kind of like knocking it off. It's real fun. Anyway, there's an orange and then there's like a little thing and you're just up on top of a cliff and like there's like a sheer like this that you're just supposed to go up.
Yeah.
And I just can't. I always fall.
It's just like a slope.
There's like little there's invisible ledges, right? That you're supposed to grab onto, or am I thinking of a different part?
I don't think there are any invisible ledges.
No, I don't
think they're all visible.
Oh,
but they're it's like a tiny little crack that it's like two things coming together like this.
Yeah.
It's like
instead of
thin.
but like when you look at it, it just looks sheer.
Yeah,
and I can't get up over that.
I played getting over it for 10 minutes.
I'm surprised.
And then I closed the game and never opened it again.
I'm surprised you made it 10 minutes.
Well, here's the thing, Matt.
Well, now I'm curious.
If we want to talk about like the lenses in which we see ourselves versus the lenses in which other people see us, if the fact that you thought that you would be able to play that game without raging. Meanwhile, no, time out. Meanwhile, I've watched you play Rocket League.
Oh.
Well, see, that's different. That's against other people. I'm comparing myself to other people. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and
that just makes me feel bad as a person.
As a rule of thumb, I think we all hate ourselves a little more than we hate other people.
You're right there.
Put that shit on a bumper sticker too.
Getting philosophical today.
Depression's a hell of a drug.
So yeah, the fact that you're now telling us that you even had an inkling in your mind that you could possibly get through that game with your sanity in one piece after literally watching a famous YouTuber try to get through it and have to take breaks for his mental health. I have to laugh at that, buddy. I don't know. I
understand. you know what's great though? Even after all that, I still think I could beat the game.
Next episode, Matt's camera will just be just him crisscross surrounded by his junk, all around.
Just everything is just broken into pieces. Yeah.
It's all in a spiral pile behind him. And he's
Matt's just
like,
gonna be in a fetal position the entire time.
I just got a real big blender and just put it all in there.
It's funny you say that you started your streaming career off of that, Matt, because I happen to recall, and you and STEEJ might understand this a little bit. We played a game not too long ago by the name of Pogo Stuck.
Pogo Stuck? Yes!
Oh my god. Another game I played for 10 minutes and then never opened again.
I had you guys do that for my birthday.
That was awful. Worst birthday present.
I had a lot of fun, actually. It's
getting over
it is a lot better than Bennett Foddy. Like, it is so much better than getting over it. I think so. Yes.
Still
it's actually a little bit
sucks.
fun. Like, getting over it isn't fun. It's like,
See, I might have more fun with the pogo stick one because I actually loved fucking having a pogo stick as a kid.
yeah,
I
it's the
never had
same
a
thing.
cauldron
There's
and
no
sledgehammer as a
difference
kid.
at
the
all.
same thing.
But I
If you
never
wanna
had
simulate
a
it,
cauldron and sledgehammer as a kid, so there's more relatability.
Yeah,
Getting
that's
over it.
true.
Yeah.
It's getting over it if you have the leg strength of the pogo stick guy from Happy Wheels. But anywho, talking about Pogo Stuck, Matt, STEEJ, you gentlemen may remember that there was a point during I'm assuming whatever event that we decided to play this for, I banged my head against the desk so hard that I actually got a fucking knot in the center of my forehead for the next 2 days.
That sounds like it was
playing
your
pogo
fault.
stick.
It is.
I thought that
it
was a bit.
absolutely it was my fault. But my point. Anyway, STEEJ, go ahead.
My point was at the end of the knot on my head.
So the game
My extra brain.
I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of games that I have started but never finished and may never go back to. But I think the most prolific game in that list of games would have to be a small indie title called The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I get it.
I have...
Refresh my memory.
Yeah,
Is that the
Lyle, I know
only-
you've probably never heard of this before.
Is that the only Zelda game you haven't finished?
No. We already talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, I have finished
think
Zelda
about that
games
shit.
before. I've played all the way through Wind Waker. I've played all the way through Twilight Princess twice.
Nice.
And that's probably it.
Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land does not count.
Oh, well, all right, strike that one then. It's less the fact that I have never finished Breath of the Wild. I have started Breath of the Wild 3 times. I have started over Breath of the Wild with the intention of playing through it.
Yeah.
One of them is whenever I first got the game and I didn't even get in that run. I didn't even get to the first, what are they called? The
Shrines.
the 4 beasts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Divine Beasts.
Yeah, I didn't even get to the first Divine Beast. I didn't do one of the Divine Beasts. I think I did quite a few shrines, like, first area or 2, something like that. And I just didn't go back. The second time, I think I didn't even get as far as the first time. But then the third time, I was still streaming, back whenever I actually streamed games and stuff. And I got the furthest I've ever gotten, which I believe was I beat 1 Divine Beast. It was like the camel looking one.
The hardest one.
Yeah, which I was told after the fact it was actually the hardest Divine Beast.
Yeah.
And I just so happened to beat that one first. And I had no idea. I just went and did it. And I've always loved Zelda. I've always loved the Legend of Zelda series. I've always thought the Legend of Zelda was really, really cool. I have a fucking Zelda tattoo on my back. Like, I like the themes of Zelda. I love the style of Zelda. But there was something about putting Zelda in a completely open-ended, open-world game. Something took the wind out of the sails for me, which is a half semi-pun to Wind Waker.
But
Yeah,
It's
that's
okay.
fine. Don't worry about it. Don't give me that one.
Add some claps or something. Just like some golf claps.
I think there was something about it made me realize what I look for in games in general, but also what makes me not necessarily want to finish something that's an open world game. because I finished open world games before. Dan was talking. I'm sorry, not Dan. Lyle was talking earlier about Skyrim. I thought Skyrim. I immediately think Dan because Dan's a huge fan.
What the fuck am I here for then?
Lyle was talking about Skyrim earlier, which is, by all accounts, an open world game. I mean, there's so much that you can do in that game. There's so much that you can do in Breath of the Wild. They're both open world games, but I've finished Skyrim, and I haven't even gotten close to finishing Legend of Zelda, despite loving The Legend of Zelda since I was a kid. And I've often thought about why is that? How have I tried this game, which I went into thinking I would absolutely love 3 different times and never finish it? And I think whenever it comes to open world games, what really keeps me going is that it still has to have kind of like a tight gameplay loop that has a little bit more in the realms of I don't want to say like immediate satisfaction, because that's not necessarily what I go for either. But if we want to compare a game like Skyrim and a game like Breath of the Wild, I feel like in Breath of the Wild, there's a lot more that can happen. There's a lot more space in between objectives. And yeah, you can fill that space with like killing bokoblins and stuff like that, and like doing little side things, like discovering little things. But I feel like in Skyrim, even though it's open-ended, you know, and there's a main storyline that you start down, just like Breath of the Wild, I feel like you can't go very far without running into something else, without having somebody approach you and start another side quest, and like constantly keeping you engaged in some way, shape, or form. That, and also I if I had to like boil it down to like one feature that I think Breath of the Wild that really turned me off from Breath of the Wild, it was your equipment breaking. Yeah, and Lyle was ready for it.
Saw that coming.
Lyle was waiting for it.
Don't play Fallout New Vegas then.
Yeah, no, and I haven't played the Fallout games, and maybe that's, you know, well, I don't know.
I was going to say, that's Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 as well.
That's like...
You get to be rootin' and tootin', and then your pistol breaks, and you're just like, oh, that was the only thing I have. Hello, demon beast.
You get to be rootin' and tootin' until your gun ain't shooting.
That
straight
can
up be a good mechanic, and I understand what they were trying to do with Breath of the Wild, and I think with the Fallout games, it gives you enough time to have your gun.
Yeah.
Before it just breaks and you can't use it, and that's another thing is like I think in Fallout you could at least like go repair it or something, right?
You could.
With Breath of the Wild, there was no way to like take what you had and try to repair it or something. And that I think that would have been. I know that they want you. The intention was that they wanted you to like just pick up what you have in the area and use it.
Be resourceful.
To be resourceful, and that kind of adds to the gameplay style, like the gameplay loop that they were trying to get people into. I have something else that I wanted to say about it, but I don't know if Lyle had something since you're the Zelda guy.
I'm absorbing this all. Trust me.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. Lyle's heard all of this before.
Lyle
honestly.
performed Abide. I have played Pokemon games before, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
My resilience is strong when it comes to criticisms of objectively the best game franchise of all time, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
The other thing I was going to say about The Legend of Zelda, specifically Breath of the Wild, I wish that I didn't finish it.
Interesting.
Expand upon that. What do you mean by that?
I had a drive to upgrade my character as much as I could. Like, go to all the divine beasts, get the upgraded powers so I could go and defeat Ganon. Mm-hmm. Having, like, defeat Ganon as my main objective was always in the back of my head.
Yeah.
So that was, like, my long-term goal. And then
I think that was the idea, for sure.
Yeah, and it worked really, really well.
Right.
Once I beat Ganon, first off, it doesn't allow you to keep playing. You can't just keep playing the game after that. Yeah. And I guess, like, story-wise, it makes sense why they would stop it there.
But you can't, like, finish up side quests and, like, tie up loose ends and
Pokemon is,
stuff
like, one of the only games that
You
Nintendo's
can, because once you beat the final boss, and you want to continue from that file, you just revert back from the last checkpoint that it
but then I'm leaving Ganon. I'm just leaving him there, and I'm just going off, and I'm doing...
I know. I'm just explaining how it works.
Oh, I know. That was the thing that broke it for me, though, because I was just like, I just defeated Ganon.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna go see if I can finish up some side quests. I wish I would have just done that first. I wish I just wanted. I would have 100% completed that game if I knew that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I would have I would have done everything in that game. I would have experienced everything it had to offer.
Just save it until the very end, until you finish that save, and you're just like, all right, you
like I had
bastard,
some
I'm
ideas. Like there were some like Lionels like out in the middle of like a tundra area that I wanted to go back and check out. After I beat Ganon, I was just like, I had to set it down for a while. I did come back to it.
The game's over now. Like,
yeah, like
even though you wanted it to not be.
I did come back to it and I tried it out, and then I tried out. I think my friend had some like amiibo things that you could like.
You scan the amiibo and it has a set list of randomized items that it can drop for you.
I was basically able to get like the OG Link costume and Epona.
Cool.
And that was cool, but it also felt really game breaking.
Like pay to win kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Epona was great, but I would have rather found Epona somehow. Like,
yeah, like as part of a side quest or something.
Yeah.
So,
like that.
Just on the
Wait, are you telling me
aspect
earning things feels better than just paying for them?
You couldn't find Epona in the game.
What?
The Epona itself was just a callback to Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
right.
I know,
yeah,
but
no, we get that.
They could have found
came from the Ocarina amiibo. So like, I understand the pay to win aspect more if it were like more of a competitive type game. So I see the amiibo more as an accessibility option. Like it sucks. You're paying for the accessibility, but for $15 you can consider like you can 15. Yeah, that's how much an amiibo normally costs. But you can only scan an amiibo once a day, but it never runs out. It's not like it's a one-time, one use, and your amiibo is now just a shelf piece type deal.
Yeah, it just.
So I understand what you're saying. Like it does feel cheap, but I saw it more as like I don't know where to go right now. So instead of exploring, I'll use this amiibo as a short-term solution to this puzzle for people that didn't necessarily either. And I'm not saying this is you, Matt, but like didn't understand really the concept of like problem solving and coming back and solving something later.
Yeah, for sure.
But just wanted more of what Steve was mentioning, that instant gratification of doing something in the moment.
That was something else I did want to do with that game, was like come back and like do all of the shrines, because I think there were a couple I had to like leave, and yeah, I didn't even like look any of them up, and that was like gratifying to me, you know.
Yeah, just doing everything on your own, not looking anything up, getting any help or anything like that.
And that's another beauty. And obviously, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole of Breath of the Wild, because that could be a whole topic for like hours and hours and hours. But I think if you guys are not necessarily familiar with how Tears of the Kingdom has operated since releasing, so like you mentioned the weapon breaking, so like weapon strength and durability is still a thing in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. However, you can pretty much take anything that you find and like meld it with a weapon to make a statistically stronger weapon. Certain items that you would find that were like you'd find like ruby and sapphire in this cave, you could like those items now have properties attached to them. So like ruby would have fire attributes. So if you attached a chunk of ruby to an arrow and you fired it at someone, like it would engulf them in flames or explode in flames.
That's fucking cool.
So it gave you a little more customization and addition. Obviously, you still can't take like a broken weapon and then go repair it. But if you think that something like if the game tells you like, oh, that your whatever is weak or is about to break, like take a second, and if there's a fucking bokoblin horn on the ground, use the melding technique, attach it resets the durability of it, and it makes it stronger.
That's a pretty cool mechanic.
It's
definitely a good way around it.
Better, that definitely is an improvement on Breath of the Wild's mechanics.
I'm not saying it's perfect by any stretch, but it definitely
better.
It made it not only improved upon the durability aspect, but it opened up your options to how you could solve certain solutions. And if you ran out of things to fight this really strong bokoblin, like if you got it to drop its weapon or its spear, you literally could take the claymore that you're using and meld that spear to the tip of this claymore. So now you have this fucking 30-foot weapon that has an increased attack power, and it looks ridiculous, but like it's like, okay, now we've made this somewhat intense situation a little silly, but I did it on my own, and I did it myself.
Yeah, I think that's actually a reason why I'm not super into Tears of the Kingdom, because it is a little bit wacky in that sense. I like it as a game mode, but I don't know if it works for me for Zelda.
And STEEJ, you know this about me for the most part. Like when it comes to sandboxy type things, like I'm not saying that I'm not a creative person, but like that kind of thing detracts from the experience. I'm not
it's
not
a little
the biggest...
too open-ended. It's just
not...
and that's what I was trying to say, where it's just like I need a little bit of a tighter loop. Like I need to know what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me figure it out. Like let me figure it out, but have the plan in place, you know? Like
and I think that's part of the Skyrim DNA or the Elder Scrolls, or I guess Bethesda DNA, is that Breath of the Wild story is open-ended. You can beat the game without going to any of the divine beasts. If you prepare well enough, it's definitely not necessarily one of the
it's crazy watching
one of the sweatier players type strategies, because it's accessible to everyone. But in Skyrim and like all Elder Scrolls and all that stuff, like the mainline story is very linear. Like you can
have to
go anywhere and get sidetracked with side quests and explore and stuff, but if you want to get to the end game, you follow these very specific instructions to go to these here's the marker on your map. And that's totally fine, but that's what I loved about Breath of the Wild. And the final note I'll make on that is just that a lot of people don't really realize they're not a fan of the open world aspect for Breath of the Wild, but it's actually one of the oldest aspects of Legend of Zelda period is that open world endedness. So in the original Legend of Zelda 1986, you literally are dropped in an open world. You're given little to no exposition.
It's almost like a roguelike.
And you meet an old man who gives you a starting weapon that says, "Hey, go at it." Breath of the Wild, you wake up, you have little to no exposition. You meet an old man on the Great Plateau that says, "Hey, do this," and then have at it.
Yeah.
Like it's more and in the original Legend of Zelda 2, you can do the dungeons in any order. You might get your ass kicked, but you can do them in any order.
Dan, you've looked like you've wanted to say something for a really long time. I apologize.
I've forgotten everything I was going to say.
I don't believe that. I believe you could probably think of something you were going to say.
All right, let's see. Give me some like in between shit while I'm over here like pondering, because I cannot. It's not coming to me.
Gunfire Reborn. I didn't finish that. Final Fantasy VII. I didn't finish that.
Well, Gunfire Reborn is a roguelike, so it's just like that's
Fall Guys.
But there was an end to it.
I guess that's true.
Neither did we. Neither did me and STEEJ. Don't feel bad. We gave it our best fucking shot.
Guys. I never finished Fall Guys.
No. The Gunfire Reborn. We got.
Yeah. We never beat the final boss.
I think I got to the final level, but I might have gotten to the final boss, but I definitely didn't beat him. There was Final Fantasy VII though. I didn't beat that because I can't remember if I said it here or somewhere else.
The original or the remake?
The original. I didn't beat that because there was like a specific materia or something that I didn't get. It was something like I think it like ended up going up into space, and then on the way down there was like some puzzle you had to finish.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that, and then there's so much game after that, and I get all the way to the end. It's like I'm in the final crater, I'm all the way down to the bottom, like I'm ready to kill the big bad, and it's like, no, you can't do it without that. Like it's not that the game stops you, it's just it's fucking impossible.
Oh,
great game.
Dan's got something.
Eureka.
He's got something. Eureka moment. Here we go.
Eureka gamers. Whenever we were talking about like the building shit in Tears of the Kingdom, I have really enjoyed. Like I didn't play Breath of the Wild, and obviously as a result of that, I didn't give a fuck about Tears of the Kingdom that much.
Fair enough.
Here's my thing. I've wanted to play it just because of that feature, because having it as a way to keep you away from the obligatory and very monotonous, oh god, here's the rare enemy that I have to kill, but I don't have strong enough shit. Let me go to the convenient blacksmith in this town over that every town has, and let me go back to the guy that's probably fucking despawned at this point because it reloaded an area. But it's a fantastic way to do that because you can just meld the fucking things together, and it's stupid and it's funny, and then it's incredibly powerful on top of that, so it's satisfying. But watching somebody take the hours required to build a fully functioning missile system and silo.
Yeah.
Just to kill 3 of those fucking goblins.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them. Just in a little group, they're all over there just like...
It hurt anyone.
And then he fucking nukes them. He has a fucking briefcase with big button.
My
Have you seen the
one,
A10?
My favorite one is the one that the guy builds like a giant stick figure man, and puts like a penis and testicles on it, and the penis shoots has a flamethrower on the tip.
Yeah. You guys know what the time to penis on this shit is?
It's like the
TTP.
craze of it's like the flying machine craze from Minecraft like 3 years ago, where people were making flying houses and shit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. I mean, it adds an entire new like level of things to do in a Zelda game, but I think the thing about that is that you're either going to love that or you're going to hate that. You're either going to and if you love it, you're going to love it just as, oh, it's another thing I can do in Zelda and I love Zelda, that's great. But you might also see it as, I really like Zelda games, but this makes Zelda games a little bit too over the top. It makes it like not really about the hero's journey anymore, and it's more about like how can the hero create like a nuke silo, or or like how can the hero become a kamikaze pilot, like and it's just
I'd be okay.
I've seen that as well.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Like the thing with that is that the whole point of Zelda is that the player puts themselves in Link's shoes.
Yeah.
And the best part about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is that every single puzzle, every fucking puzzle, has open-ended solutions. There is not a single correct way to do the thing. And while Tears of the Kingdom's big niche, I guess, is the whole construction destruction aspect, it's never shoved in your face saying you have to do it like this.
Yeah.
It'll give you the parts, and if you can, if the first thing on the top of your head is to do it without it, and you do it without it, beautiful. Then Nintendo succeeded, and you succeeded, and that's what they wanted.
If you want to play the long game and introduce the oil industry into this fantasy world by putting up several rigs in the Great Plains,
bring the Industrial Revolution to Hyrule.
I mean, that's kind of what you're doing, right?
You will be bringing pollution to this land, and thus you're playing the long game. Ganon will eventually die of smoker's lungs. So I mean, it's all good.
Especially when he himself is smoke. It's like you fight fire with fire.
Yeah,
he might outlive you, but not for long.
I mean, he wants this smoke. That's what he wants.
Which is why I've built an A10 Warthog out of Lincoln Logs and fucking magnetics.
I love that one. Highway to the Danger Zone playing in the background. Fuck yeah.
On my
deal with
Legend
his
of
sunglasses
Zelda
coming down on a freeze frame on Link.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I think this has been an excellent foray into those games that we have not quite finished, maybe never will, but maybe we will. Maybe this episode will inspire either one of us or one of our wonderful viewers to go back and check out one of those games that has been sitting in their library that they haven't touched for so long. I think, honestly, I might. I mean, maybe I'll try to play Bennett Foddy's, Giving Over It one more time and then punch my computer screen. Yeah. I don't know.
I will
the whole time he's going to be telling you like why it's a good thing to not finish games too.
Oh wow,
it's great.
That's meta. We didn't even.
Yeah,
get
I mean,
into
philosophically, it's a really cool idea, but
yeah, that's good. But yeah, guys, this has been really good. If you're out there listening, or if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and give the video a like, and make sure to subscribe to Oddly Coded. Find us on TikTok, and we're on Instagram too. We're on Reels.
Videos?
And the cool thing is like rather than our Reels being like 3 weeks behind TikTok, which is what most of Reels is, we actually post them at the same time. So you'll be up to date no matter what you follow us on. Isn't that cool?
Equality on all platforms.
Yeah, exactly.
When do we
While you're
upload
watching your
videos
out-of-date
here?
TikToks, you'll be up to date on us.
Because
Hey,
I
there
don't
you
know
go.
that.
Oh,
What day do we upload videos here for me and the viewers?
Monday.
Monday
the
What
podcast
time,
come out.
STEEJ?
We new episodes Monday, usually around 8:30 or 9. We're trying different time slots.
Fantastic.
But we'll see.
I'll write that down.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
We'll see you. Bye.
I'm gonna go play Assassin's Creed 4 again.
I'm gonna go not play Skyrim.
Don't play Skyrim. Wait, do play Skyrim. Wait.
Thanks for listening.